The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Get involved with Access Fort Wayne and make your own television programming. Call 421 1250 to find out more.
We have Mary and Wesley and our very special guest, Michael Lewis from the National Weather Service.
Yay, Mr.
Well.
Sun, Mr. Sun.
We finally got him
We
back.
finally got it.
Yeah, it's finally here. It's finally here. So
I'll
nice.
be back.
Yeah, it's so nice to have Mr. Sun back.
Yep.
So, how you doing, Wesley?
Doing fine.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me out there. Mary,
Thank
you
you.
did a great reading. I heard on
the
a
poem, yeah.
Beautiful reading.
So
Beautiful
sad.
Can
Yeah.
you tell us about our Tracy letter?
Well, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you asked me to come out here, and you know, when we were talking about this early on, it was early in actually, I think it was March that we talked about trying to get out here, and my job was crazy, but you know, the weather was even wilder. It was
Yeah.
wilder. Do you
It
remember?
got Tracy since the last time.
Yeah, well, you know, we had the flooding in February. If you know about that in South Bend and Elkhart, record historic flooding. And then March, it was cold, and it didn't warm up. And it didn't warm up.
But didn't the beginning of March come in real nice and warm, like 60
Well,
degrees?
yeah, there were a couple of
And then it
60-degree
got
days there,
cold.
and then it got cold,
Yeah.
and it really never warmed up. And one of the things that I was talking to a lot of farmers. We work at where I work in the Weather Service office. We're up near Syracuse, halfway between South Bend and Fort Wayne, and we have a lot of Amish communities that try to do a lot of planting this time of the year, and they couldn't get in the fields because it was so it was so wet, but the other one is the ground was so cold that they couldn't plant anything, and it was bad. It really wasn't until about 2 weeks ago that we actually started seeing warm enough weather that they could see the ground warming up enough that they could start putting stuff in the ground. So crazy.
It's been nasty.
Crazy.
When is it okay to set your plants out, like,
Yeah, well, you
like
know,
my geraniums that I had on the kitchen table?
yeah, you know, it's funny because really we start to see the middle of April is kind of that last of the hurrah of cold air, and the latest we usually see is like May 1st historically, but generally we think about April 21st is kind of that point where you can say chances of getting a significant frost are not this year. It wasn't until really almost like last week, the latter part of April, the first part of May, that we actually started seeing the turn where we're not going to get that cold air. So you're probably okay putting them out there.
Some people say May 1st, some people say May 15th.
And you know, the later you can wait, the better. It just seems like it took a long time to get here.
Yeah.
I think everybody was chomping at the bit for spring to show up, and then we got summer. It was like summer came in. There was like the switch
Yeah.
went from, it didn't go from
yeah.
winter to spring to summer. It went
Yeah.
winter, summer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, so Mr. Sun, you got to work on that.
Yeah,
I will do my best.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So we had that record flooding, really a long-term cold. We had some of the coldest spring. There was some research that we did, and since spring began on March 20th, the first 41 days of spring was about 38 degrees, the average temperature, and that broke the old record. The old record was set back in 1926, where the average temperature for that period of time was 39 degrees. So this was record-setting cold for the first start of spring. Now, we've seen temperatures that have been in the 60s, 70s, and some 80s, so we're starting to see that average work back up, but still a cool start to the spring. Did you see any trees blooming? Did you see much blooming? It's been really kind of
It's been kind of
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daffodils didn't start showing up until a couple of weeks ago. It's been crazy.
But
It's
those
been
stelladoras are really pretty, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice. We got that warm weather over the last couple of weeks, and it's amazing how quickly everything has gone to flower. We're seeing a lot of daffodils. Even the tulips are up now, and I've seen the red buds. The trees that are the red buds are blooming, and I've seen a couple of the other flowering trees. So we're starting to get some. We're starting to see the vestiges of spring, and that means what's next?
Summer.
Summer. Summer's the yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about summer, I think.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
What is the outlook you guys are thinking for the summer?
Wow. So the last time I talked to you, we were talking about how the winter was going to look, and I said it was going to be below normal and there was going to be some snow, and we actually worked out that worked out pretty good. And I said that it was going to be that it was going to last long. We were going to see a warm up and it was going to linger a little longer. I didn't think it was going to linger into April. I thought it was going to linger into March and then start to warm up. So I was off a little bit.
Yeah, you
So-
were off a little bit.
just a little bit. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to tell you what the summer outlook looks like, but rest assured, it could be wrong.
Wrong.
It could be
Right.
wrong. I'm going to get you close to the ballpark, though. Okay, so the latest thing that we're looking at now is generally about normal temperatures. So not too hot, but not too cool. The other thing that we're looking at is it doesn't look like we're going to see a lot of rain. So it's going to be a relatively dry summer. It's going to start out kind of wet and unsettled April, May, and into June. So we'll kind of see some unsettled weather in there, a little bit cooler. And then it's going to warm up late June, July, into August, and going to be pretty dry. So when we average that all together for the summer period, it looks like it's going to be about a normal summer. See temperatures in the 80s, maybe even see about a couple of days, maybe a 3 to 5 day period where we'll see temperatures near 90. But generally, we're going to see those temperatures hovering right around 80 degrees for highs to overnight lows in the 60s. So going to be some good nights for watching some ball games. Going to be some good nights for going out and seeing some of the festivals and fairs that are going on.
Walk the plaza.
Rock the Plaza, those things that are going on. You're right.
Except for the 90 degree days.
Yeah, but so
Oh,
that
too
leads
hot.
into some good questions, Mary. What do you do if it's really, really hot outside? What should you do in really hot weather?
Stay inside.
Stay inside. That's a really good answer. Stay inside. What else, Wesley?
Wear shorts.
Wear shorts. I didn't wear my shorts today, but
I did.
there you go.
Oh, I
I
got-
wore a short sleeve shirt.
I got one. Wear sunscreen. If you're,
Sunscreen. Let me ask you a question, Mary. That's a good thing. And Mr. Sun, you might be able to help us out.
Okay.
Is it true that everybody, regardless of your skin color, can get sunburned? Is it true or false?
Yes, that's exactly
It's
true.
definitely true.
Is
Yes.
everybody can get sunburned. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. So everybody should wear sunscreen, especially if you're going to be outside. And sunburn is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have like this, it's like a brightness. There's like dark skin and this white up here. I got a really bad sunburn in March. I was outside
Really?
and wasn't paying attention, and I had a ball cap on, a little cap on, and I was standing on pavement, and the sunlight was coming up, and I got sunburned
Just
all
on your
over my
face.
face because I had the hat on. I didn't get sunburn up here, but I got sunburn on all of my face. It was bad, really bad, and I ended up having to go to a doctor and having it checked for possible problems. But and I didn't wear any sunscreen. It was March, it was cool, and I didn't think I needed it, but the
Yeah,
sun
you
was
wouldn't.
really intense. Mr. Sun.
yeah,
Yeah.
he fools us.
Yeah, Mr. Sun. So I got pretty bad sunburn.
We may have to put him in timeout.
Yeah, don't put him in timeout until in fall. Well, we need him now during the
Right.
summer. So so we talked about sunscreen, light colored shorts if you can, staying indoors, air conditioning,
Even long sleeved white shirts.
light colored.
Yeah, as long as they're light and light colored.
You're
Yeah.
right. So again, you want to be able to keep as much skin covered as possible.
Yeah.
You don't want to get sunburned. Sunscreen helps. What about hats? I talked a little bit about a baseball cap. Does a baseball cap give you protection?
Some.
Some. Yeah, Wesley, you have a baseball cap on, right?
Right.
What about your ears?
They can still get burnt.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Hey,
They're-
so what about here's one for you. Does that work? Yeah, I'll
Your-
tell you why.
Your
Look
head.
at all that. All that, man. Woo! Even if you have hair. I mean, I don't have any hair, but if you have hair, you can get sunburn. Mary, have you ever had sunburn on your head?
No,
No? Oh, I'll tell you.
it's pretty
Oh.
thick.
Yeah, my wife has really thin hair, and she kind of parts it, and she got a really bad sunburn because she was wearing this kind of visor.
Especially
So-
if you have a part.
Yeah,
'cause
these, yeah.
where
so
the part is.
These don't offer much help. Baseball hats, they'll cover, but they won't cover your ears. So what
Yeah.
about, this might be a good, this is my mowing grass hat.
Oh, yeah.
You ready? This may not fit, so, hey, how's
Yeah.
that hat? How's that
Oh,
look?
I like that.
You like that? Hey, you know,
Yes.
It covers your forehead anyway.
yeah, it covers my forehead. You know,
And
you
the
still
back
got
of your neck.
oh yeah, look at
Cheeks
that.
and everything.
Does it
Nose.
cover my neck?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
Does
it
it?
actually does.
Oh, not a lot.
It comes down. The sun
little.
comes down.
A little
it'll
bit.
Cover a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So again, you know, that's a nice looking hat, man. I have to start wearing that more often.
Indiana Jones, Mike.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
like that? Hey,
That's
so,
nice.
So, well,
Yeah.
And I've seen people wear their hats like this.
yeah, but
too.
you know, it's
That doesn't help.
no. So here's
It might
the
cover
one
your
I
neck
use.
in the
This
back.
is what I use when I go out a lot.
Oh, it covers
at
your
that.
neck and the back.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So here I'll turn around so
Yeah.
you can see this here. Comes down, covers
Yeah.
my neck.
Yeah, that's a
Comes down,
pretty
covers
good
my
one.
ears.
just your face in front.
Right. So I
get
can put
that
some
in.
sunscreen on.
Mike,
And your
where'd
neck
you get a
in
hat
front.
like that?
Where did I get a hat like that? You know, I got this when I went down to Mr. Sun. Show Mr. Sun again. That Mr. Look at that. Mr. Sun, I went down to Florida
Yeah.
and I forgot my hat. And I said, man, I got to get a hat. And they were selling these at a visitor center. But you know, I've seen these in most of the home stores. I've seen similar things. You want to look for something that's going to cover your head. You want something that's light, and if you feel that it's really lightweight, it's got a mesh in there, it's got
Oh,
air that
yeah.
can breathe through it. So you can keep air blowing,
Oh, yeah.
flowing around, keeps you cool, but
Air.
it covers all of your face. And I really want to emphasize that
Yeah.
you go outside in the summer, you really should have
Oh,
something that
for
covers
mowing
your head.
grass.
Mowing grass,
Yeah.
working in the garden. Anytime where you have you want to make sure you cover, because the last thing you want to do is get a bad sunburn and you have the possibility of developing skin cancer. And you just want to try to minimize that.
Yeah.
And so let me ask another question. You know, Mr. Sun was out there, see him bright, and can you get sunburn on a cloudy day?
I know the answer to that.
I've heard you could.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Sun?
Definitely yes.
Definitely yes. The ultraviolet rays that come through can actually penetrate through the cloud. So even on a cloudy day, you run the risk of getting sunburn. So the best thing to do, even on a cloudy day, make sure you put on some sunscreen, wear a hat, because you may not think you're exposed to much sun because the temperature may feel cooler.
Yeah.
You may feel like you're cool, but you can still get sunburn. So always, always protect your skin, wear a hat.
I
And
never-
Michael, some
never
of us
think of
get
it.
fooled by cloudy days
I never-
because the clouds go away for a while and then they come back for a while. And during that time they're gone, you're not protected.
Hot sun.
That's right. I mean, that's right. You know, just because there's clouds doesn't mean you aren't at risk. If you are outside,
Yeah.
there's a risk of getting sunburned. So always have sunscreen. Always have something to protect your skin and face.
Yeah, that's something to remember.
Michael, can
Because
you
I
tell
never
us?
think about that.
Can you tell us the worst hours to be in direct sunlight from me?
Oh yeah. So you know, the other thing to keep in mind is most people think that it's like I can be out all day, and as long as I'm drinking plenty of water, putting on sunscreen. But really, there's a window of time where it's the worst, and that's when the sun is at the highest or going into the highest and leaving the highest point. So about 2 hours before noon till about 2 to 3 hours after noon. So there's about a 5-hour window where it's really critical that you have protection on your skin and covered up. So about 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon is your worst potential of getting sunburn. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get it in the evening and can't get it in the morning, because it's all about exposure. Are you exposed to it for a length of time? And again, sunscreen's going to help with that. The other thing to keep in mind is that the longer you're outside, the drier you get, you start to sweat. So you need to also, what's the other thing you need to do?
Drink water or something.
Drink water, lots and lots of
Yeah.
water. So always have water
What's I
available.
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to drink the water. It's a really good thing. You want to make sure that you keep that water coming through, you're drinking a lot of it, especially if you're sweating. The other one is that if you really are really sweating a lot, or you start feeling like you're getting sick, move indoors, get to someplace cool, and drink some of the electrolyte beverages that have like sport drinks and stuff, just so you can kind of get your electrolytes balanced out, and then start drinking as much water as you can, so you can keep, be called hydrated. You don't want to be so dried out that your body starts to shut down. So keep your water, keep
Yeah.
water moving through you. Sugary drinks, carbonated drinks, coffee, even tea is not good because the caffeine and some of those drinks will actually dry you out. They're called diuretics. They'll make you dry out. So the best thing, water, and if you're really, really, really sweating a lot, you want to use a sport drink that has some kind of an electrolyte in it. So, plenty of
Michael,
water.
how's come people take salt tablets in the summer?
It's the other thing is that's what I was talking about with the electrolytes. When you sweat, have you ever noticed that when you sweat, your salt, you get like salt crystals?
Salt comes out.
Yeah, all these salts are coming out of your body. One of the problems you can run into is that you can get rid of those elements and those salts, and your system begins to go into shock. It has troubles balancing. So people will take salt tablets to get that salt level up, but the other thing is they also make you thirsty, so you want to drink more water. So the idea is to try to replace some of the salts, but it forces your body to crave more water, so you want to drink more water. So the balance of the salt and taking salt tablets is to replenish some that are in there, but it also forces your body to be thirsty, and you want to drink
And
more.
sports drinks do taste salty, so they must have
Yeah,
salt in them.
they do. And one of the things to keep in mind is you don't want to drink a lot of them, because if you drank a sport drink that didn't have any of the sweeteners or flavors, it would taste horrible.
Oh.
So they add a bunch
They
of
do have
sugars and flavors and
sweeteners.
stuff. Yeah, so you don't want to drink a lot of them.
Yeah.
You want to be able to drink enough to kind of get your body back into normal, and then fill up with a lot of water. A lot of water. I can't emphasize enough drinking plenty of water. So.
I've been learning how to do it just in my medicine.
Yeah, well, and that's the other one. If you are on any kind of medicines, talk with your doctor, because some medicines will make you more susceptible to sunburning, and some medicines will actually dry you out more or can create a dehydration issue. So check with your doctor and ask about exposure to sunlight. Also, if you go swimming a lot, sometimes the chemicals imbalances can occur in that, because if you're in the water, you start drawing some of those other salts out of your body. So you can actually sometimes experience illnesses from swimming so much. So make sure you drink plenty of water. You want to keep that balance going there. So
What about, let's say there's a thunderstorm and you are at the Y in a pool. Inside.
Inside.
Is that a different versus the outside?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is, if there's a thunderstorm and you're outside, is go inside. If you're inside a building like a Y that has a pool, you're generally safe inside those buildings. The way that lightning is going to travel, they have a bunch of grounding and electrical, and it's going to go into the ground rather than come into the building itself. But again, it's always wise to be aware, especially if the Weather Service has issued severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings, to know where your shelter is. And they may ask you, and I've been to the Ys where they've said, we are asking everybody to leave the pool. And a part of that is not so much that they're worried about you being struck by lightning in there. It's so that they can start getting people ready, so if they have to shelter, they don't have to worry about trying to get out of the pool, because that takes time. So they try to move people out before it's a problem, getting them into the locker rooms, or at least someplace where they can shelter if the storm were to become really, really bad.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes.
Try not to be the tallest thing in the field.
Yeah, you don't want to be out. Yeah, it's like they say, what's a farm? A farmer is a person who's outstanding in their field, right?
All right.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you stay as far away from trees, open fields, Tractors do not provide support or shelter. You want to be indoors, as far away from windows as possible. And if it's a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, get to the lowest place in your structure. If you're at a Y, know where their sheltering is. If you're at a store, know where the shelter is. If you're at the mall, I know the mall. I was up here at Glenbrook Mall just a couple of days ago. They have tornado shelter signs all over. And I noticed at Jefferson Point, they started putting up sheltering signs. So know where the nearest shelter is and be ready to take shelter.
Michael, we have a
never thought
natural
of it.
shelter, which would be our car.
Yes, cars are going to offer you some support or shelter if you have thunderstorms and lightning. The other thing about it is that if it's severe weather, again, the car may give you a little bit of shelter, but you want to be able to use that car to get to a place of shelter or safety. But if in thunderstorms and lightning, if you get a lightning strike that hits a car, generally the lightning's going to course around it and go into the ground. So you're sheltered inside of that. So again, if you're outside, go indoors. We have a rule of thumb that the Weather Service use. When thunder roars,
Go indoors.
go indoors. There you go. So that's the best thing to
Is
do.
there a difference between a severe thunderstorm warning versus a tornado warning?
There is a difference. The first one, the severe thunderstorm warning, is issued when we are expecting winds greater than 58 miles per hour, or the thunderstorm is capable of producing hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. And it could be a combination of both of those. Severe thunderstorms, if they're well organized and formed properly, can produce tornadoes. And if we issue a tornado warning, it's because we expect that thunderstorm to develop or has the potential to develop a tornado. Two different types of things. Tornadoes tend to be concentrated, very narrow, concentrated, intense winds. A severe thunderstorm has wide areas of damage caused by what we call straight line winds. Both can be just as deadly. Both can be just as dangerous. The one is that a severe thunderstorm warning is not less dangerous than a tornado warning. They're both issued because there's life-threatening weather.
Michael, you could probably answer this.
Yeah.
How does it come about that we can get a golf ball size piece of hail? How can that possibly happen?
Man, it's an interesting question. I had somebody ask me about that the other day. How does hail really form? Because I don't know if you had any hail here the last couple of days. We had a couple of thunderstorms over the last couple of weeks.
We actually didn't. I
Really?
don't think so.
Yeah, I was at home just the other day, and thunderstorm developed, and it started raining, heavy rain. And then I started hearing the clack, clack, clack. I looked out, and there were some good-sized hail, about the size of a penny or a dime. But there was a lot of little pea-sized ones. So what I was able to see is, there's little hail. It's kind of like the baby hail. And if you can get an updraft going, that little baby hail gets lofted in and it freezes, because as you go up in the cloud, it gets colder. It turns to ice, but then it starts to fall out, and you have all this moisture, and it falls into this moisture, and it gets coated with water, and it goes back up, and it freezes. And so what will happen is you start seeing layers develop on the hailstone. So every time it goes up, it freezes another layer, and it drops down, and it gets another coating of water, it goes up and freezes. So if you were to look at a hailstone, and we're able to cut through it, through the middle, you'd see little layers of ice. And every time you got a layer is one passage up and down through the storm. And so every time it does that, it goes up and down. And the bigger the hailstone, the more times it's gone through that up and down cycle, where it goes down, gets coated with water, goes up, refreezes, drops down, gets water, gets up and freezes, goes down, goes up, and then after it gets big enough, eventually it just says, whoop, and comes right down to the ground. And that's when you start getting large hailstones. The larger the hailstone, the bigger the storm. The bigger the storm, the more chances that you're going to be able to grow that hailstone. Does that answer your question, Mr. Sun?
I knew you could, Michael.
I thought it was just Mr. Sun playing pool or something. up there.
Yeah. A little golf action going on up there. Yeah. No, it's just a growth cycle of a hailstone.
And what do we do if you outside and we see the clouds starting?
The clouds start, and this is always a good question. When you're outside, you should always be aware of what's going on around you. We have in the area around here in Fort Wayne, they have outdoor warning sirens. They have sirens that can sound if there's bad enough weather and you're outside and close enough, you can actually sometimes hear those sirens. If you hear the sirens, the best thing to do is go inside and find out why those sirens are going off. The other thing to be doing is look at the sky. Periodically look up and see, is it dark? Where's that? Listen, can you hear the thunder? If you can hear the thunder, really that's the time to go inside, because when thunder roars, what do?
Go indoors.
You go indoors, right. So you need to be looking, watching, and listening. So the other thing to be looking at is as the clouds start to darken, you'll see the little, and we saw this the other day, there's little clouds that were coming through, and some of them had dark bases, but they really weren't very organized. It's when you start seeing the horizon turning dark. You look and it's a large area as you're looking out across the sky, darkening, darkening. That's when you really need to say, time to go inside.
What channels do you put news bulletins on, telling that there's a major
We work with
storm?
all of the local TV stations here. So any of WPTA, you have
15,
WMFT,
21.
you have Wayne TV. All of those are our partners. We work very closely with them. So anytime there's information that we have, they're going to go out and push it onto the air. We also have Facebook and social media, Twitter.
1 minute.
So the Weather Service is out there, and we have all
Michael,
kinds of stuff.
can you tell us about the weather radio?
Oh, well, yeah, and I meant to bring one. I had one out in my car, and I forgot to bring it. But we have something called Weather Radio.
Wesley is the PSA for it.
Right, and so we have that 24/7 broadcast. The Weather Service broadcasts that information 24/7, and it's nice because it sits there. It's like a smoke detector. And when we issue a warning, a siren goes off. And that way you can be notified middle of the night when things are bad. And you have also cell phones. We have a lot of notifications that we can push out on cell phones, as well as if you have, I have a tablet right here. My tablet will go off if there's warnings too. So there's all kinds of information. The best thing to do is be aware, look to the sky. If you hear thunder, when the thunder roars, go indoors. And if the skies start darkening, that's the time to stop what you're doing and find out what's really going on.
I think we have to wrap it up.
Oh, man. Wesley, thank you.
Let's
Thank
have
you
you
very
on
much.
again.
That was
Mary,
very interesting.
Thank you very much. And let's have some good weather, not some wacky weather.
Right.